Naomi Carter had been in commercial real estate development for 16 years, building a portfolio that now included 47 properties across Texas. At 39, she was the founder and CEO of Carter Development Group, a firm specializing in mixed-use commercial spaces in rapidly growing cities like Austin, Dallas, and Houston. Her company's newest acquisition was Riverside Plaza, a 70,000 square foot commercial complex in Austin's rapidly developing East Side. Carter Development had purchased the property 3 months ago for $18 million as part of their expansion into Austin's booming real estate market. The plaza housed 12 businesses, including retail shops, professional offices, a coffee shop, and elite fitness center, which occupied the largest space at 8,000 square feet. Naomi had been so busy with the acquisition and transition that she hadn't yet visited all the tenant businesses personally. Her property management team handled day-to-day operations while she focused on strategic planning and new developments. But she made a point of patronizing businesses in properties her company owned, both to support the tenants and to observe operations firsthand. Elite Fitness Center advertised itself as Austin's premier boutique gym, offering high-end equipment, personal training, group classes, and what they called an exclusive membership experience. Their marketing emphasized a sophisticated fitness community for professionals who wanted more than a typical big-box gym. Naomi had been looking for a gym closer to her office, and Elite seemed perfect. The location was convenient, the facility looked modern in the photos, and the membership options fit her schedule. She visited Elite on a Wednesday afternoon to tour the facility and sign up. The gym's interior was impressive. New equipment, clean spaces, contemporary design with exposed brick walls and large windows providing natural light. The front desk was staffed by a young woman who greeted Naomi professionally. "Welcome to Elite Fitness. I'm Jessica. Are you here for a tour?" "Yes, I'm interested in membership." Jessica led Naomi through the facility, explaining amenities and membership tiers. Everything seemed legitimate and well run. The gym had about 30 members working out, mostly white professionals in their 30s and 40s. Naomi noted she was one of only 2 black people visible in the entire facility, the other being a woman on a treadmill near the back. As they returned to the front desk, a man emerged from the office area. He was in his early 50s, athletic build, wearing a polo shirt embroidered with Elite Fitness Center branding. His name tag identified him as Brian Walsh, owner. "Jessica, is this a prospective member?" Walsh's tone was friendly, but his eyes assessed Naomi with what seemed like excessive scrutiny. "Yes, sir. Miss Carter is interested in our premium membership." Walsh extended his hand to Naomi. "Brian Walsh, owner of Elite Fitness, welcome. What brings you to our gym? I work nearby and I'm looking for a convenient place to work out. Your facility looks great. We pride ourselves on maintaining a certain standard. Our members appreciate the exclusive atmosphere we've created." The way Walsh emphasized exclusive made Naomi slightly uncomfortable, but she attributed it to typical sales language about boutique gyms. She completed the membership paperwork, providing her credit card for the monthly fee of $149. Walsh processed everything professionally and gave her a membership card and facility orientation packet. "You'll find Elite is different from other gyms. We have expectations about conduct and etiquette that maintain our community standards. Please review the member handbook carefully." Naomi thought the comment was odd, but not necessarily concerning. She thanked Walsh and Jessica and left, planning to start working out the next day. The next morning, Naomi arrived at Elite at 6:30 for an early workout before heading to her office. She changed in the locker room and headed to the weight area to begin her routine. She'd been strength training for years and knew proper form and gym etiquette. She started with a warm-up on a treadmill, then moved to the free weight section. As she set up for dumbbell exercises, she noticed Brian Walsh watching her from across the gym. He seemed to be observing her specifically, rather than surveying the facility generally. After about 10 minutes, Walsh approached. "Miss Carter, are you familiar with our equipment usage policies? I reviewed the member handbook. Is there a problem? I just want to make sure you understand that our free weights are for all members. It's important to keep workouts efficient, so everyone has access. Of course, I'm following standard rest periods between sets. Just making sure. Some members aren't used to sharing equipment in a premium facility." The comment was strange. Naomi was doing exactly what every other member was doing, yet Walsh felt the need to lecture her about sharing equipment. She completed her workout, but felt Walsh watching her periodically throughout the session. Over the next week, Naomi visited Elite 4 times. Each time Walsh appeared and made comments about her use of equipment, her workout duration, or gym policies. He never approached white members with similar comments, even when they occupied equipment longer or failed to wipe down machines after use. On her 5th visit, Walsh approached while she was using a squat rack. "Miss Carter, I've received complaints from other members about your workout style." Naomi finished her set and turned to him. "What complaints specifically?" "Members feel intimidated by your presence in the weight area. The clanging weights and intense workout style doesn't fit Elite's atmosphere. I'm using equipment properly with standard weights and techniques. What exactly is intimidating?" "Some members aren't comfortable with aggressive workout styles. Elite caters to a certain clientele that expects a calm, focused environment." Naomi felt anger rising but kept her voice level. "Are you saying I'm being aggressive? I'm literally doing the same exercises as other members. I'm conveying concerns from our community. Perhaps Elite isn't the right fit for your workout style. We have partnerships with other gyms that might be more appropriate." The implication was clear. Walsh wanted her gone and was manufacturing complaints to justify removing her. Naomi suspected the real issue was that he was uncomfortable having a black woman in his predominantly white gym, especially one who was fit, confident, and using the equipment competently in spaces he considered the domain of male members. "I've violated no policies. I have a valid membership. If you have specific complaints, I'd like them documented in writing with details about what rules I've allegedly broken." Walsh's expression hardened. "I don't need to justify my decisions about my gym. If I determine a member isn't a good fit for Elite's community, I have the right to terminate their membership." "Actually, you don't have that right without cause. I've reviewed Texas law on gym membership contracts. You need to specify violations or provide refunds for cancelled memberships." "Are you threatening me with legal action?" "I'm informing you of your legal obligations. I'm a paying member who's followed all rules. If you want to cancel my membership, you need to document specific policy violations or refund my fees." Walsh pulled out his phone and typed something. "Fine. I'm documenting that you've been hostile towards staff, made other members uncomfortable, and violated equipment usage policies. Your membership is terminated effective immediately. You need to leave the facility now. I'm in the middle of my workout. You're no longer a member. You're trespassing. Leave now or I'll call the police." Other members had stopped their workouts to watch the confrontation. Several looked uncomfortable with Walsh's behavior. One woman, the black woman Naomi had seen on her first visit, looked at Naomi with sympathy and recognition, as if she'd experienced similar treatment. Naomi gathered her belongings and walked to the locker room to change. Walsh followed her, apparently to ensure she actually left. As she changed, she pulled out her phone and texted her property management director. "Need immediate lease review for Elite Fitness Center at Riverside Plaza. Check for any violation clauses related to discrimination or business conduct." She left Elite Fitness and drove to her office. Once there, she pulled up the complete file on Riverside Plaza, including all tenant leases. Elite Fitness Center's lease was a standard 5-year commercial agreement, with 3 years remaining. Monthly rent was $12,000 for their 8,000 square foot space. But buried in the lease language was a clause Naomi's legal team included in all Carter Development properties. It stated that tenants must comply with all applicable civil rights laws and could not engage in discriminatory practices against customers or the public. Violation of this clause constituted grounds for immediate lease termination. Naomi began documenting everything. She wrote detailed accounts of each interaction with Walsh, noting dates, times, and specific statements. She compiled the member handbook Walsh had given her, highlighting that she'd violated none of the stated policies. She reviewed security camera footage from the gym that captured Walsh's repeated approaches and the final confrontation. She also did something else. She called 3 women she knew through professional networks, 2 black and 1 Latina, and asked if they'd be willing to apply for membership at Elite Fitness as test cases. All 3 agreed. Over the next week, the 3 women visited Elite separately to inquire about membership. They were all professional women in their 30s, well-dressed, financially qualified, and expressing genuine interest in joining. The black women were told that Elite had a waiting list for new members, and they'd be contacted when spots became available. The Latina woman was told that membership required references from current members, and that without those references, her application couldn't be processed. These requirements appeared nowhere in Elite's advertised membership policies. Naomi also had her assistant, a white woman, visit Elite to inquire about membership. She was immediately welcomed, given a full tour, and offered a discount on sign-up fees to join that day. No waiting list, no references required. The pattern was undeniable. Brian Walsh was operating a gym that discriminated against women of color while welcoming white customers. The discrimination violated both Texas public accommodations law and the lease agreement with Carter Development. Naomi scheduled a meeting with her legal team and property management director. She presented all her documentation and explained what had happened. Her attorney, Sandra Martinez, reviewed everything carefully. This is clear discrimination and clear lease violation. You have grounds to terminate Elite's lease immediately. What's the process? We send formal notice of lease violation, specifically citing the anti-discrimination clause. We provide evidence of discriminatory conduct. We give them 10 days to cure the violation or vacate the premises. Given that the violation involves ongoing discriminatory practices, cure isn't really possible unless Walsh completely changes his membership policies and proves he won't discriminate anymore. Naomi's property management director added his perspective. We should also consider tenant mix implications. If Elite is discriminating, it creates legal liability for us as property owners and damages Riverside Plaza's reputation. Other tenants might object to being associated with a discriminatory business. Naomi made her decision. Draft the lease termination notice. Include all documentation of Walsh's discriminatory conduct. Give him the 10-day cure period as required, but make clear that continued discriminatory practices constitute ongoing violation that justifies immediate termination. Are you sure? Walsh might fight this. Lease terminations can get messy. I'm certain. I won't have my company profit from rent paid by a business that discriminates against people who look like me. Beyond the legal issues, it's a matter of principle. 3 days later, Brian Walsh received a formal notice from Carter Development Group via certified mail. The notice informed him that Elite Fitness Center was in violation of its lease agreement due to discriminatory business practices. It detailed Naomi's experiences, the testing results showing disparate treatment of women of color, and relevant sections of Texas civil rights law. The notice concluded, Elite Fitness Center has 10 days to cure these violations by demonstrating elimination of all discriminatory practices and implementing policies ensuring equal treatment of all prospective and current members regardless of race or ethnicity. Failure to cure will result in immediate lease termination and requirement to vacate the premises. Walsh called Carter Development within hours of receiving the notice. He was connected to Naomi's office. Her assistant transferred the call. This is Naomi Carter. This is Brian Walsh from Elite Fitness. I received some ridiculous notice about lease violation. There must be a mistake. There's no mistake. You discriminated against me and other women of color at your gym. That violates your lease agreement with my company. There was a long pause. Your company? What are you talking about? I'm the CEO of Carter Development Group. We own Riverside Plaza, where your gym operates. You're my tenant. Walsh's voice changed from angry to shocked. You're the property owner. Yes, and you terminated my gym membership based on fabricated complaints because you didn't want a black woman in your facility. You also discriminated against other women of color who attempted to join. That violates Texas law and your lease terms. I didn't know who you were. That's irrelevant. You discriminated against a customer. The fact that the customer happens to own your building doesn't change the discrimination. It just means you're facing consequences. Walsh tried to recover. Look, there were legitimate concerns about your conduct at the gym. There were no legitimate concerns. I followed every policy in your member handbook. You invented complaints because you're uncomfortable with black women in your gym. I have documentation, witness statements, and testing results proving your discriminatory practices. This is a misunderstanding. I'm sure we can work this out. Read the lease termination notice. You have 10 days to demonstrate you've eliminated discriminatory practices. That means implementing objective membership criteria, training staff on civil rights compliance, and proving you'll serve all customers equally. If you can't do that, you need to vacate my property. You can't just kick me out. I have a lease. Your lease includes an anti-discrimination clause. You violated it. That makes the lease terminable. My attorneys are confident our position is legally sound. If you want to challenge it, you're welcome to hire a lawyer, but you'll be doing it while you find a new location for your gym. Naomi hung up. She felt satisfaction but also sadness. She'd just wanted to work out at a convenient gym. Instead, she'd experienced discrimination that forced her to use her position as property owner to hold the discriminator accountable. Over the next week, Brian Walsh hired an attorney who sent a response challenging the lease termination. The attorney argued that Walsh had legitimate business reasons for his decisions and that the discrimination claims were unsubstantiated. Carter Development's legal team responded with comprehensive documentation, Naomi's detailed accounts of each discriminatory interaction, security footage showing Walsh following and confronting her repeatedly, testimony from the 3 test applicants about being turned away while a white applicant was welcomed, copies of Elite's member handbook showing Naomi had violated no stated policies. The evidence was overwhelming. Walsh's attorney advised him that fighting the lease termination would likely fail and could expose him to additional civil rights lawsuits from other victims of his discrimination. 15 days after the initial notice, Elite Fitness Center's attorney contacted Carter Development to negotiate.
Walsh would vacate the premises within 30 days in exchange for Carter Development agreeing not to pursue additional legal action or damages beyond the lease termination. Naomi agreed to the terms. She wanted Walsh out of her property, not to destroy him personally. The goal was accountability and ensuring her properties didn't house discriminatory businesses. Elite Fitness Center closed 4 weeks after Walsh had terminated Naomi's membership. Walsh sent a brief email to members claiming the closure was due to unexpected lease issues. He didn't mention the discrimination or his role in forcing the closure. Several former Elite members reached out to Naomi after learning she owned the property. 2 women of color described their own experiences with Walsh's subtle discrimination. They thanked her for taking action that they hadn't felt empowered to take themselves. One woman, Patricia James, the black woman Naomi had seen at the gym, shared her story in detail. She'd been a member for 6 months and had experienced constant microaggressions. Walsh frequently questioned whether she was using equipment correctly, suggested her workout clothes were inappropriate despite other women wearing similar attire, and made comments about her music choice when she used headphones. She'd felt unwelcome but hadn't known how to address it. When I saw Walsh confront you that day, I recognized exactly what was happening because I'd experienced it too, but I didn't have the power to fight back. You did, and you used that power to stop him from doing to other women what he did to us. Thank you. These conversations reinforced for Naomi that her experience wasn't isolated. Walsh had been systematically making women of color uncomfortable in his gym, using his position as owner to discriminate while maintaining plausible deniability through vague complaints and manufactured policy violations. Carter Development immediately began looking for a new tenant for the 8,000 square foot space. They received significant interest, but prioritized applicants committed to inclusive business practices. The space was leased to Empowerment Fitness, a gym founded by 2 women, 1 black and 1 Latina, who'd experienced discrimination at other Austin fitness facilities. Their business model explicitly emphasized inclusivity, welcoming members of all races, body types, fitness levels, and backgrounds. When Empowerment Fitness opened 3 months after Elite closed, the owners invited Naomi to a VIP preview event. They'd heard about why Elite had been forced out and wanted to thank her for creating opportunity for a truly inclusive gym. Naomi toured the renovated space and saw what a gym could be when operated by people committed to welcoming everyone. The membership was diverse across race, age, gender, and fitness level. The atmosphere was supportive rather than exclusive. Members helped each other rather than competing or judging. She signed up for membership that day and became a regular at Empowerment Fitness. For the first time since joining Elite, she could work out without feeling watched, judged, or unwelcome. Brian Walsh attempted to open another gym in a different Austin location, but struggled. Word had spread in Austin's fitness community about why Elite had closed. Several gyms refused to hire him. Landlords were reluctant to lease to him after learning about the discrimination and lease termination. He eventually left Austin and opened a small gym in a suburban area outside San Antonio. The new gym survived but never achieved the success or reputation Elite had briefly enjoyed. 6 months after the Elite closure, Naomi was invited to speak at a commercial real estate conference about tenant management and property owner responsibilities. She shared the Elite Fitness story as a case study. As property owners and developers, we have power that extends beyond collecting rent. We choose who operates businesses in our properties. We set standards through lease agreements. And we have responsibility to ensure our properties aren't used to discriminate against the communities we serve. She continued, when Brian Walsh discriminated against me, he thought he was dealing with a gym member he could dismiss without consequence. He didn't know I owned the building where his business operated. That gave me leverage to hold him accountable in ways most discrimination victims don't have. But the larger lesson is about how we use property ownership. I could have ignored what happened, continued collecting Walsh's rent, and looked the other way while he discriminated against other women of color. Instead, I used my position to remove a discriminatory business from my property and replace it with one committed to inclusion. That's what responsible property ownership looks like. Not just maximizing rent, but ensuring our properties contribute positively to communities and don't enable discrimination. The speech resonated throughout the commercial real estate industry. Several developers contacted Naomi about implementing similar anti-discrimination lease clauses in their properties. Some shared stories of discovering discriminatory tenants and struggling with how to address it. Naomi's approach became a model: use lease agreements to establish behavioral standards. Monitor tenant businesses for compliance with civil rights laws. Act decisively when discrimination is discovered, even if it means losing rental income temporarily. 5 years after the incident, Carter Development had grown to own 73 properties across Texas. Every lease included the anti-discrimination clause that had allowed Naomi to remove Elite Fitness. The company had terminated leases for 3 other businesses that violated the clause, sending a clear message that discrimination wouldn't be tolerated in Carter Development properties. Empowerment Fitness had thrived and expanded to 3 locations, all in Carter Development properties. The gyms became known as the most inclusive fitness spaces in their respective communities, attracting members who'd felt unwelcome elsewhere. Patricia James, the woman who'd experienced Walsh's discrimination at Elite, had become a personal trainer at Empowerment Fitness. She specialized in working with clients who'd felt intimidated or judged at other gyms, helping them build confidence and strength in a supportive environment. 10 years after canceling Naomi's membership, Brian Walsh was interviewed for an article about discrimination in the fitness industry. He offered what seemed like genuine reflection. "I thought I was maintaining standards and protecting my gym's atmosphere, but I was really just uncomfortable with black women in what I'd envisioned as a space for white professionals. When Naomi Carter joined, I saw her as someone who didn't fit my vision, rather than as a qualified member who deserved respect. I manufactured complaints and terminated her membership based on prejudice. I didn't know she owned my building, but that's not why what I did was wrong. It was wrong because discrimination is always wrong. The fact that she had power to hold me accountable just meant I faced consequences that most discrimination victims can't impose. I lost my business and my reputation. I deserved to lose both. But the real harm was what I did to Naomi and other women who just wanted to work out without being harassed and judged." For Naomi, the incident remained a reminder of how discrimination could happen anywhere, even in spaces meant for health and self-improvement. But it also demonstrated how power, used responsibly, could create accountability and change. She'd been discriminated against at a gym by an owner who thought she was powerless. Instead, she'd been the person with ultimate power over his business. That power allowed her to end his discriminatory practices and create opportunity for businesses that actually welcomed everyone. That was the real victory. Not revenge against Brian Walsh, but transformation of a space from exclusive and discriminatory to inclusive and welcoming. From Elite Fitness that served only certain people to Empowerment Fitness that served everyone. And in commercial properties across Texas, lease agreements now included language ensuring that discrimination would result in immediate consequences, protecting future customers from experiencing what Naomi had experienced. Brian Walsh had canceled the wrong person's gym membership. Not because Naomi was special or more deserving than others he'd discriminated against, but because she had the power to ensure his discrimination ended and couldn't continue harming others.
Thank you very much for listening. Please let us know what you think of this story in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any other videos.